Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the High Altitude Investing live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about how crypto is following this bearish pattern. Should be a lot of fun. Talk about where I think crypto is going to go from here. And of course, as always, we'll run over the coins that you guys want to have covered in today's live stream. So it should be a pretty sweet live stream, a pretty good live stream here today, and something that we're going to have a lot of fun running over these charts and learning a thing or two about how to play these markets, about how to make the most money inside of the crypto space. There's a lot of people that are getting shaken out in the sense that they're getting chopped up in all of the movement on Bitcoin as well as other coins. And a lot of people are making a lot of really bad choices. A lot of people were holding on. A lot of people were too bullish up here. And they're still bullish down here. No surprise, right? That's just the way it goes. What's up, everybody? Thank you for taking some time to tune in to today's live stream. So, we're actually going to start off with talking about ADA today, just to kind of get going here, and then we'll talk about Bitcoin in a minute. So ADA is something I definitely think will see more downside from here. As you guys can see, we have really started to drop off from 80 cents up here all the way down to 41 cents. And we're really, really weak right now on ADA. We just broke bearish out of a bearish pennant. As you guys can see, we just broke bearish out of this bearish pennant, which could take us back down to major support here, which is actually a really common thing to have happen at the bottom of these cycles. A lot of times they bottom out a little bit, but then once they get up to the top of resistance, once they bounce up towards resistance, they come all the way back down to major support before they can go higher. And in fact, oftentimes, they even break below that major support level in a capitulation event before they come back up and see more upside. So ADA breaking bearish out of this pennant just goes to show some of the sentiment that we're seeing inside of the market right now. People are bullish, yet the charts are breaking bearish. So that's really, really common. People hold on to their investments. They marry the idea that it has to go up, and they stop thinking clearly. And when you stop thinking clearly and you're holding on, or you have too much leverage long, or a lot of times people have too much money in their portfolio and not enough cash. And when you don't have any cash in your portfolio, then you basically are saying, I think the market's going to go up. A lot of times people think that they can remain unbiased to the direction of the market, and yet at the same exact time, they're unwilling to sell even a portion of their crypto. Well, if you're unwilling to sell, what you're really saying is you think it's going to go up. That's what you're really saying. If you're not willing to take profit, what you're really saying is you think it's going to go up in value. Now, the charts are bearish. Let's go over to Bitcoin. Even Bitcoin is a great example of bearish setups inside of this market. So let's go ahead and drop time frames Well, actually, let's start by going to the bigger time frame. Then we'll talk a little bit about the smaller time frame as well. So in the bigger time frame here, we broke out of the major all-time high. Over here is our major previous all-time high. On Bitcoin, we broke bullish up through that and rejected. The very first thing that we did was we rejected at this level at around 7,300 per Bitcoin. Then we came back down to 5,700 per Bitcoin and bounced back up to resistance and rejected again. So Bitcoin is clearly respecting this zone of resistance. And by the way, resistance is a zone. Support and resistance is not a single price point, although sometimes it does stop at that exact price point. But most often, support and resistance is a zone. So we came up to this resistance zone and rejected, came up to it again and rejected again on Bitcoin. By the way, welcome everybody. Good to see you guys tuning in today. Should be a good day to learn a little bit about crypto and what's going on in the markets. So, back over to the charts here. So yeah, a lot of people are bullish right here on Bitcoin, and every teeny little bounce on the smaller time frames, they're saying, oh look, it's bullish again. Oh look, it's bullish again. Oh look, it's bullish again. And what happens every single time? Well, the market rejects and screws the bulls. Why? Because a bigger setup is happening here on Bitcoin, and people are still unwilling to accept it. And because of their unwillingness to see the market as it is, they're getting chopped up, and they're really getting screwed up in this market instead of making money, which is what you could be doing right now in the Bitcoin markets and the crypto markets if you were willing to play the market for what it is and let go of your pride or let go of your presuppositions of what the market is going to do and see it for what it is, to see the truth as it is. So as you guys can see, we did reject at major resistance here on Bitcoin. Then we made a bear flag and we rejected again. Then we made a head and shoulders pattern, which is right here, the head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. We broke bearish out of our head and shoulders pattern. And guess what we're doing again on the Bitcoin markets? First of all, we had another bear flag right here. These are all bearish continuation patterns on the smaller time frames. Now, we just barely made a rising wedge on Bitcoin. And we broke bearish out of that rising wedge, and we're getting ready to see more downside on Bitcoin. Now, people don't want to hear this. They want to hear, oh, the market's going to go up. We're just going to keep going up. And every little bounce, like I said, they have another excitement of euphoria. Oh, look how dumb those bears were. You know, we bounced. See, it's going to go up. Well, no. That's what markets do. On the way up, they have to have pullbacks. On the way down, they have to have bounces. That's the nature of markets. So we did have a break of a bear flag right here, as you can see, just like we had a break of a bear flag right up here. You can see that perfect bearish break. Man, this market's easy to trade if you're willing to see it for what it is. It's only hard when you're stuck on your emotions or you're preconceived ideas of what the market has to do, and then therefore you're not seeing it for what it is, and you're losing money. Right? And it sucks to lose money. You can't just say, oh, well, money doesn't mean anything to me. Well, you know, you're probably never going to get rich if you think like that. Right? It has to be important. When you take a loss, you have to be asking yourself, what did I do wrong? And when you make profit, you have to ask yourself, what did you do right? You have to care. You can't be a dirty hippie, right? You actually have to care about making the right choices in order to make money in this market. Now, as you guys can see, we have a rising wedge pattern, and we broke bearish out of that rising wedge. Most commonly, they bounce up a little bit. You can see we bounced up a little bit, and now we're starting to break bearish again. Bitcoin looks weak, not strong, right? And I know people don't want to hear this, but it's just the truth. So, okay, let's remove all the drawing tools. Now let's talk about the bigger structure on Bitcoin that's happening. And, you know, one of the reasons I was able to see this crash before it started, and it's just only now starting, you know, we've only just barely started to pull back here, which is why a lot of bulls are still holding on thinking, oh, this thing's going to take off. We're going to go to 100K or 90K, because it's not completely evident to people that don't know what's going on. Once it becomes completely evident to people that don't know what's going on, it'll probably go just a little bit lower, and then it will actually bottom out. Because why? Well, most people are late to the game. Most people only see the correction when there's only a little bit left. And then that's when they start saying, oh, this is going to be a huge correction. We're going to have a big, giant crash in the markets. Well, you guys were too late, you know? You were too late. You should have been saying there's a big crash coming in the markets when it was at 72,000, right? If you're calling a crash right now, you're still among the small, select few people that actually know what's going on and that are actually playing the market correctly. But if you wait until Bitcoin's at 58,000 until you're bearish, or even until Bitcoin's at 55,000, you have to admit to yourself that you were wrong about the direction it was going to go. And that's what most people end up doing, is they're too late to the game. And once Bitcoin goes to 55,000, you know, then they're like, oh man, now we're bearish, right? That's their thinking, is, oh, well, now we're bearish. And that's just how a lot of people think. So as you guys can see, Bitcoin is here on the top again, BTC up here on the top. Then we have gold down here on the bottom. All right, so gold and Bitcoin has a history of following the same psychology as gold, because, see, here's the thing. Bitcoin trades like a commodities market. All right, Bitcoin trades almost exactly like silver or gold. Bitcoin and crypto have extended fifth waves. Gold and silver have extended fifth waves. When we're talking about Elliott waves, if you don't know what Elliott waves are, go Google Elliott wave principle and do some homework this week about Elliott waves. But the fifth wave in most markets is not extended. It's just a normal size. But the fifth wave in gold and silver is extended. The same is true for Bitcoin and crypto. So to have Bitcoin has a history of following the same market structure as gold. It has a history of doing the same patterns, not exactly the same time frames and not at the same times, but it has a history of doing the same patterns as gold. One of the reasons that I was able to call the bottom on Bitcoin in 2018 when it hit 3,000 per coin was because it looked exactly like the bottom on gold. A previous historical cycle on gold looked exactly like the current cycle on Bitcoin. So there's that similarity in the psychology between the way these markets are traded. So don't forget we'll see the Mt. Gox dump this year. Maybe, I'm definitely expecting a crash. I don't know what kind of fundamental things will happen at the same time. Usually when there's a crash in the market, somebody's exchange gets screwed. Something bad happened. Somebody was over leveraged, right? There's usually some type of event that occurs with it. But the crash I'm expecting isn't Bitcoin to 30K, or I mean, it could, but that's not really what I'm expecting. What I'm expecting is Bitcoin to a new local low. Our previous local low was 56,000. I think we'll have a new local low that could take us to 50K per Bitcoin, right? Now, whatever news events, whatever crazy things happen during that period, so be it. But the charts are telling me that Bitcoin, just like gold, how it made a new local low. Here was gold's previous local low. Then it went up and tried to break resistance. It couldn't. It rejected off resistance and made a new local low. That's what I'm expecting. Now, people will call it manipulation. There'll probably be some crazy news event that's associated with it, because there always is. But yeah, I do think Bitcoin will make a new local low. Oops, sticky keys. I always do that. I always press shift so many times. I need to go turn off the function so that the sticky keys thing doesn't pop up. I just haven't done it on this computer yet. So yeah. That's what I'm expecting on Bitcoin. It's not that crazy to expect this. And yet I'm being told that I'm like completely nuts for expecting a pullback on Bitcoin before it goes higher again. I'm not even trying to tell you guys a multi-year bear market's coming, and yet people are treating me like I'm the Grinch that stole Christmas or something. Right? All I'm expecting is a new local low. Look what happened to gold. It recovered. Once it found support, gold had no problem recovering. So just keep your head on straight, people. Just be wise. So if you look here at Pepe up here on the top and Ethereum over here on the bottom, through this whole crash, I haven't played it absolutely perfectly, but I have played it nearly perfectly. I shorted almost the exact top on Pepe, and then I took profits right here. Then I shorted not quite the exact top of the bounce, but somewhere closer to the middle. Then I took profits not quite at the exact bottom, but right here, really close. And then I tried to go short again, got stopped out with a tight stop, and basically didn't lose anything, just a very small percentage. Then I went short again right here. The market's dumped. Have not taken profits yet. The market's bounced back up. And I'm expecting to take profits down here closer to major support. It could fall below major support like Ethereum did, but I'll probably take profits somewhere near or around major support on Pepe. So that is an example of human psychology, a fractal analysis, because everything in the universe is fractal by nature. Everything is fractal. I mean, if you look at a seashell, and I talk about this a lot in my videos, but this is really amazing. Seashell fractals. Let's see, maybe not fractals. Seashell Fibonacci. Here we go. So there's a Fibonacci spiral inside of a seashell the spiral of a seashell is a Fibonacci sequence. Well, what is Fibonacci? Fibonacci was developed by a guy, or discovered, I should say, by a guy named Fibonacci. And basically, it's a mathematical sequence where you add the previous number to the next number. So you start 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 1 equals 3, right? 3 plus, let's go look at this, the sequence. 3 plus 2, fib sequence. It's easier than trying to do it all in my head right now. 3 plus 2 equals 5, 5 plus 3 equals 8, 8 plus 5 equals 13. I just couldn't remember if you added the 2, but yes, of course you do, because it's 1 plus 1 equals 2. So 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 2 equals, or 2 plus 3 equals 5, 5 plus 3 equals 8, 8 plus 5 equals 13. So that's a Fibonacci spiral. And this pattern is found consistent throughout nature, whether you're looking at a galaxy spiral and Fibonacci sequences, or whether you're looking at a seashell. Seashells also spiral and Fibonacci sequences. But it goes through everything in nature. You know, if you look at a sunflower, it's a Fibonacci spiral. All these different plants are Fibonacci spirals, and just it's a consistent pattern throughout nature. So that's an example of a fractal, fractals of human emotion. Just 1 second, I'm going to get some water, okay? So these Fibonacci patterns are found throughout nature everywhere you go. And if you take a look, it's more than just fib spirals. If you type in fractal universe, let's see here. No, that's not right. Let's type in human egg, flower of life. Where's a good example? Okay, here we go. If you look at, for example, the flower of life pattern versus an egg, you can see the similarities between what happens in the cosmos. Nebulas, different things that happen in the cosmos, different star patterns, also are in alignment with what you see on a smaller level inside of the human body with eggs. So the whole universe is fractal in nature. In other words, everything that you find on a small scale is found in a big scale as well. And so because of that, markets are also fractal in nature. If you go study the best traders and investors in the world, and the ones that are actually predictive analysts, people that are actually willing to say, I predict this will happen, instead of just, oh, anything could happen. People that are actually predictive analysts use fractals. This is how they become so accurate at what they're doing. The reason why they can say, okay, this is the bottom, or okay, this is a place where it's going to top out, is because of human emotion is fractal in nature, and that human emotion is painted on these charts when people get too excited or too fearful, and it's all geometry. It's all part of the fractal universe. We live inside of a universe that's fractal by nature. So the more that you can understand that, the more that you'll be able to be successful as a trader and as an investor. Let's see here. I'm absolutely with you. We will go down. Yeah, I definitely think we will go down from here. Again, people don't agree with that idea. I have probably never received this much hate for it except to be bearish, except for the times that I've been bullish at bottoms, where people are really, really mad at me for being bullish at the bottom. And that's a huge sign that the majority of people are still trying to hold on to their investments right now instead of seeing the market for what it is and expecting more downside. But back to the whole fractal universe thing, because I want to talk about this a little bit more, because this is one of the coolest things ever. And mathematics is the language by which God, Galileo, just type that really quickly. So Galileo said mathematics is a language with which God has written the universe. Now, there is mathematics consistent throughout nature. If you type in Fibonacci, not sequence, but Fibonacci in nature, then again, you're going to get more examples of this pattern found throughout nature, right? Even down to weather patterns. The trees, the way their branches branch out, right? It starts as 1, then it goes to 2, then it goes to 3, then it goes to 5 branches, then 8 branches, and 13 branches, and 21 branches. So there's mathematics inside of the entire universe. And so it's no surprise that geometry and mathematics are found inside of these charts. We live in a fractal universe. And so this is how professionals understand, okay, well, what's going to happen in the market? Tune out from all the noise, tune out from what everybody's saying, and look at the charts and say, okay, well, this looks bearish, even though everybody and their mom is bullish right now on the crypto markets, and every little bounce they think is a reason to buy more. And really, it's a reason to short sell, which is what I've been doing. And, the reason why I've been able to play Pepe so accurately through this whole move is because of the fractal universe, because we live in a universe that is mathematical, that has geometry, and the more you understand that and work with that, the better of a trader and investor you're going to be. So that's the whole fractal universe thing. And that's one of the reasons I'm expecting more downside on Pepe, is because it looks like a fractal of when Ethereum topped out back here around November of 2021. So don't be shocked if Pepe pulls back more over the next few weeks or few days or whatever time frame. I'm not going to say exactly because I don't know, but I do expect another pullback here, and it's probably going to be sooner rather than later because of this fractal of Pepe and Ethereum. So let's change charts here and look at some other coins. Yeah, you guys can learn a lot if you are willing to learn, then you can learn a lot, because what the stuff that the professionals use is actually really, really, really cool to study, right? So let's take a look at arc block. So last time I was looking at arc block, I said, well, let's talk about the last time, so 2 times back. When arc block was topping out up here, I was telling everybody, you guys, this looks like a descending triangle up here on arc block. And also, we broke bearish of that descending triangle. I expect more downside. And it came all the way back down here to the top of wave 3. Then in the previous time that I was talking about it, so the most recent time that I talked about this coin, I said, okay, we pulled back really hard here. I would not be at all surprised to see a bounce before we go lower. Well, we got that bounce, Okay, we got the bounce that I was talking about. Arc block did bounce up here. And now I think it's going to do pretty much the same thing Bitcoin did. When Bitcoin did this little bounce right here where everybody thought, oh, this means it's going to moon now. Then it failed support again and screwed everybody. I'll just need to zoom into it to show you what I'm talking about here. So you know what I'm talking about. Because otherwise you won't. You might not have been around. I sometimes don't remember that not everybody looks at these charts as much as I do. So this right here where Bitcoin bounced and came up here and rejected off resistance, then it came all the way back down even lower. That's exactly what I expect to have happen here with Arc Block. We bounced, we hit resistance. People are probably FOMO buying. In fact, I know they are because they always do. And then, of course, the market is set up to make a new low, a new local low. So again, these coins, look, Arc Block had 5 waves up already. If we look at the structure on Arc Block, you can see how overextended this thing is. This thing went so ridiculously high and very, very quickly too, and did 5 waves up. And after 5 waves up, you have to have an ABC correction. And an ABC correction isn't some small thing. An ABC correction means, well, this thing's going to pull back to exactly who knows how low before it goes back up again, right? Before it can find support and then find a bigger structure and go back up again. But most of the time they do kind of a rounded structure, right? Once they pull back, they have to do kind of a rounded structure. They have to build momentum or even like some kind of a jaggedy, like inverse end shoulders. That's really common too for markets to do something like that, right? Before they go back up again and before they moon again, right? Now, I want to talk a little bit about the future of crypto because after this correction on crypto, I don't think crypto is going to keep going down. I'm just bearish over the summer. Just until Bitcoin bottoms out again, until Bitcoin reaches 50K or somewhere around there, I'm bearish on Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin is bearish, and all the other charts look bearish too, by the way, then they're all going to go down, right? If everything looks bearish and everybody's bullish, and Bitcoin especially looks bearish, well, I can't really say that because honestly, everything looks bearish. But either way, Bitcoin's the mothership. It has the most market cap. So if Bitcoin, being the most important one to watch, is bearish, then everything's going to crash with Bitcoin. And again, it's hard to tell people this because they don't want to hear it. In the sense that you try to tell them and they get mad at you, they get angry with you for telling you the truth, for telling them the truth. And that's what was happening up here when I was trying to tell you guys these markets were bearish and they started to crash. And the people that listened to me, shout out to you guys. But the people that didn't listen to me and still aren't listening to me are really going to look back later and say, well, why didn't I listen? Why didn't I just, take some profits off the table and get ready for a correction? Because everybody was too excited and the charts were clearly bearish, and most people don't see that until hindsight, and you can't be there's not a good trader on earth that's a hindsight trader. You have to see things before they happen. That's what makes you a good trader or investor. You have to be able to see it before it happens. You can't look back later and say, oh, well, that was clearly bearish. I should have seen it. I mean, everybody does that at the start until they figure out how to see things before they happen. But if you want to be good at this, you have to see it before it happens and call it as it is, even if it's hard to do. you know, even if you have to go against what other people are doing. But if you follow the herd, you'll be led to the slaughterhouse. That's exactly, most people are following the herd, and they are going to be led to the slaughterhouse. So, how far do I think BCH will fall? Let's talk about BCH. So I made a video about BCH not too long ago, just so you guys know. Just the other day, I made a video where I talked about BCH in the video. And in that video, I talked about the head and shoulders pattern and the Elliott wave structure here with BCH. And if you put this thing on the logarithmic chart, so you can see a little bit better what's going on, then you'll see, delete some of the stuff I drew on the chart. You'll see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. And we came up into resistance of wave A and wave B, which is a lot of resistance up here, by the way. A lot of resistance. And then we started to reject, and let's just remove all the drawing tools here and talk a little bit about some of the patterns that we're seeing here. So there's a left shoulder right here, a head right here, and a right shoulder. Now Bitcoin just did this on a smaller time frame. If you're watching the start of the stream, Bitcoin did this on a smaller time frame where there's a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. And what happened? Well, Bitcoin dropped to a new local low on a smaller time frame. So this pattern is a very effective trading pattern. And join the Discord, by the way. And if you go into the Discord and click knowledge and links, there's a link in the description to join the free Discord. Click knowledge and links and then click on top trading patterns. I don't have all the patterns I'm going to put in there yet, but there's a Google Drive with a whole bunch of trading patterns, what they look like and what to watch out for. And you'll see those patterns and get a better idea of how to play these markets. But the head and shoulders pattern is a topping structure. The head and shoulders pattern means that a local peak is very likely in place, and we've already started to break the neckline. We broke bearish from the neckline. So what this means with Bitcoin Cash here is that I think this thing could pull back down to about $250 before it bottoms out. So a $250 Bitcoin Cash would mean a 50% drawdown in value from current price, or about 41%. But it could go down a little bit more. It could go down to 220, right? So around 40 to 50% drawback on Bitcoin Cash before we go back up again. And I do think we will go back up again, and it will be very, very fun once it does, because it's going to take off in value after that. Once we shake all this retail out, crypto is going to go nuts, right? Crypto is going to go nuts. So let's go back over. I want to show you guys something that happens every single cycle. If we go over to the IXIC, which is the NASDAQ composite in the stock market, and go over to like a 10-day time frame and take it off the log chart here so you can see a little bit better. The IXIC is a great example of what happens in every single market. So it's really cool, actually. What you can see here is after a market cycle, you have this huge pump in value, then the market pulls back, and then it bottoms out. And when it bottoms out, it goes all the way back down to major support. So this is called a double bottom. So you go all the way up here, then you pull all the way back down, and you bounce, and you come back down to major support. So that's a double bottom pattern, okay? And And when this happens, a lot of people don't expect it to happen. They get too bullish right here. They get too bullish right where the market's starting to show some signs of an early bottom. And when the market starts to show signs of an early bottom here, then they get too excited and the market pulls back and shakes all those people out, right? Now, if we go back over to Ethereum and take a look at Ethereum, I'll show you what I mean here. Same thing happened with Ethereum down here, right? The market goes up in value, it pulls back, it bottoms out. People get too excited, they think the bottom's already in. They got too excited again right here, and then double bottom, right? It goes all the way back down to major support before it takes off. Well, if you take a look at like Ethereum names service, for example, ENS, let's look at the right chart. That's exactly what's happening here with ENS, right? We have our we went up. Well, you can't see the upward move here, but if you take a look here, we bottomed out right here, and the market goes up, and people are getting too excited again, just like on the COVID drop, right before the COVID drop with Ethereum, and we haven't tested this lower support level yet, right? And if we go back over to like ADA, for example, and take a look at Cardano, ADA is doing the same thing, right? We went way up in value here, we came back down, we hit a major support level, and we haven't tested that support level yet again. You know, when you have a disbelief phase, you almost always come back down and retest that major support level before you can go back up in value. And sometimes you even break below it in kind of a panic event, and then you go back up after that. That's what crypto does. It screws people. It shakes them out. That's a little bit too deep there. Let me make it a little bit more realistic. There you go. And so that can happen here with crypto. You can have these shakeout patterns where the market looks really bullish, or people think that they can buy the dip, or they think that the market's oversold, and it says, nope, you guys got too excited, and shakes people out. So the idea that Bitcoin can't do that is ridiculous. Of course Bitcoin can shake people out. Of course Bitcoin can pull back down to a major support level here, again, and shake people out, pull back down to 50K. This is the nature of markets. Bitcoin is in a little bit of a different place. Bitcoin is more zoomed out. Bitcoin is the leader of the market, so it's already up higher. It's doing more like what gold did after gold broke its all-time high, which is why I'm showing you what gold did after it broke its all-time high. Because Bitcoin did this exact same thing. I mean, gold did this exact same thing as what Bitcoin is doing right now. If we take a look here and just make the chart, it's really easy to do. Only takes a second to do this. See this big rounded bottom here on Bitcoin? And then here's the previous all-time high. So here's our previous all-time high right here. Then we have this huge rounded bottom on Bitcoin. Okay. And then what happens? Well, we have wave A, wave B, and now we're expecting wave C, right? Well, take a look at gold. And I've shown this in a few different videos now, right? But people only want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear the truth a lot of times. People want to hear what they want to hear. That's why politicians are so popular. Or at least some of them. Some of them are not, right? But if you tell people what they want to hear, you're going to be loved forever. If you tell people the truth, They'll hate you for a while, but then they'll respect you forever. And that's really, really, really important to do in life, is tell people the truth. So here's gold on the bottom. Here's Bitcoin on the top. Gold, when it broke its all-time high, here's gold's all-time high. When gold broke its all-time high, look what happened. It did an ABC correction and shook everybody out, chopped them up and shook them out before it went higher. So the idea that Bitcoin can't do this is just ridiculous to me. And yet people think that Bitcoin has to go up. And yeah, I see a lot of people drawing the inverse head and shoulders pattern. That's the other thing people are always saying. Dallin, isn't there an inverse head and shoulders on Bitcoin right now, right? A left shoulder right here, a head right here, and a right shoulder right here. Or people are saying, well, what about the cup and handle? Isn't there a cup and handle pattern? You guys, you're holding on to your investments and you're too bullish when there can be a correction. Do I think that Bitcoin will do an inverse head and shoulders pattern? Yeah, I do. Why? Because gold did an inverse head and shoulders pattern right here. But it was a bigger inverse head and shoulders pattern. It's part of a bigger structure that took place, and not just this tiny little one on these miniature time frames where everybody's worshiping their crypto and thinking it's going to go up forever. Right? I do think Bitcoin will do an inverse head and shoulders pattern, but the head will be at 50K. The head won't be here at 57K. The head will be back over here on a bigger time frame at 50K before we go higher. I mean, look at these two charts. They're spitting images of each other. So don't tell me that Bitcoin can't pull back to 50K. All right? And don't tell me that Bitcoin can't, that the crypto markets can't have a summer correction. They can. And it's likely that they will. I see people posting charts right now of Bitcoin going to 100K. I see people posting charts right now of Bitcoin going to 8 million. I literally saw somebody posted that. And I was like, okay, that person is on crack. And yet people are saying I'm on crack for Bitcoin having a healthy correction back to 50K. Somebody's comment literally said that the other day. I was like, all right, whatever. That's what I thought in my mind. I was like, I should stop reading these and just approve them instead. Because I have all my comments on pending approval because of bots. For some reason, I get tons of bot comments on my videos. So I have it set to where I have to approve every comment. And most of the time now I'm just approving them instead of reading them. Because some of the things people are saying is just like, okay, you guys, whatever. So I don't let it get to me, right? Because I've seen it before. I was bullish on Bitcoin down here. When Bitcoin was worth 16,000 per coin, I was bullish. And people in my Discord thought I went nuts. But they had to eat their words later when Bitcoin went to 70K. Now, a lot of people in my Discord are really smart and cool, right? But there's always that guy or that group of people that just completely disagrees with me, and they have to be like really rude about it instead of just saying, hey, what about this? And to be honest with you, even if you say, hey, what about this? Most of the time I'm going to tell you guys what I think. And your analysis or your friend's analysis or whatever isn't going to change my view. Because I base my analysis on my own analysis of the charts. I don't lean on anybody else. I don't look to anybody else for investment knowledge. I don't look to anybody else's charts. In fact, I try to avoid other people's charts. I try to avoid other people's opinions because One of the best ways to be a successful investor is to tune out from the noise and to tune into the charts and tune into the truth. And the only way to do that is to stop looking at everybody else's opinions, unless they're somebody that knows what they're talking about. And then you still have to be careful and wise about what you're doing and tune into what the charts are telling you. Because the charts are not going to lie to you. The charts are going to tell you exactly what's happening. Why? Because the charts are a representation of the money, the influx and outflux of money, the volume, the patterns. They're not going to lie to you. People will get emotional though, and people will make irrational decisions, and they'll post stuff that's not true, and they'll spread your mind full of a bunch of things that aren't true. And so you have to be very careful about people. But if you look at the charts, they're not going to lie to you, right? They're not going to lie. So, Jesus, thank you for the $2 donation. I just saw that. I was getting really into my little thing there. So let's talk about BSV. Yes, I can talk about BSV. So let's go over here. Yeah, we'll talk about BSV. So you're probably not going to like what I have to say about BSV. I'm just going to be honest with you. You're probably not going to like what I have to say about BSV. So if we take a look here at BSV and look at the bigger time frame here on BSV, you guys can see here that there's actually a bear flag on BSV right now. Now, I wish I could say it's just going to go up here. I wish I could say that we're just going to turn around and go bullish and supermoon like this and just boom, Craig Wright and everything is Satoshi and just butterflies and rainbows. I wish I could tell you that because I know how many people are long on this coin right now. But I'm going to be honest with you and just tell you what I honestly think is going to happen, which is I think BSV will make a new local low. I think when Bitcoin makes a new local low, BSV will also make a new local low, which could take us down to $5. I know that's been a joke in the BSV community, $5 per BSV, but the charts really actually look like it right now. So if BSV pulls back to $5, don't be surprised. I wish I could tell you they were going to go up, but I don't see it in the chart. I just don't see it. So, yeah, I know. I wish I could say it was bullish, Jesus. But thank you for the donation. I really appreciate that, man. I thank you for doing that, for that little donation. So, I know. I wish I could tell you that things are just going to moon, man. But Bitcoin pulling back. Bitcoin has the most market cap. And because BTC has the most market cap, whatever it does has a massive effect on the rest of the market. And it doesn't almost even matter fundamentally if one coin is fundamentally better than another coin of what it does or even its network capabilities. It basically, Bitcoin controls the market. It's like how the stock market is also heavily influenced by the S&P 500, right? So it's just how these markets work. Jack Cleo, Jack Cleo. Wow. Yeah, I know. It's a pretty bearish prediction on BSV. Let's see. Looney. Yeah, we can do Looney. I've never honestly looked at it before. So let's do Looney. And also, you guys, a lot of people are wondering, well, what about Mother Iggy? I'm here to tell you that Mother Iggy is not looking good. All right? I drew this chart just the other day before we failed support, and this looks like 5 waves up and it's ready to crash here. I know everybody thinks, oh, well, wasn't this just on the news? Isn't it going to moon? No, you sell the news. This is something that's so important to understand. If there's bullish news out there, I don't trade news, right? I trade charts. First and foremost, you need to understand that. But if there's bullish news and the charts look bearish, in other words, if they look overextended or people are too excited or they look like they've gone really high or there's 5 waves up, you sell that bullish news, right? Everybody was bullish on Ethereum. Everybody thought Ethereum was just going to go up, right? Because of the ETF. They thought, oh, Ethereum's going to go up now. But I didn't, and it pulled back. And this is a small bounce. I think it'll pull back more and go down further here. But you have to sell the news. Why? Because every single investor, every single retail investor and their mom is thinking that it's going to go up in value because they're all thinking the same thing, right? They all think that it's going to go up because of this bullish news event. So what does Wall Street do? Wall Street shorts it. Wall Street says, well, everybody thinks it's going to go up. Let's short the market because they're FOMO buying, right? So that's what happened. So with Mother Iggy here, I wish I could say this thing was going to go up, but this thing looks really bearish. So don't be surprised if this thing magically drops down to like 2 cents and wrecks everybody that was buying the top expecting a big moon because of the news event. So let's look at Looney. Okay, Looney on Solana. Oh man. Yeah, this is you guys. I was telling you, I've been trying to tell you guys crypto looked bearish. Right? And a lot of these low cap coins are a great example of what's happening because they're not going to go up in value when Bitcoin is pulling back. When Bitcoin is bearish, these low caps are going to fall off a cliff. And it doesn't matter if you're thinking that there's some hype coin. There's always like in a select few low caps that just pump, right? There's always that coin that's up like 2,000% for some reason on the daily because it got pumped somewhere on some pump and dump group or whatever. But for the most part, you have to understand that these coins are not going to go up especially when Bitcoin is bearish. These low cap coins are going to fall off a cliff. Right? Looney here, Looney fell off a cliff right here. Now, do I think it's going to go up at some point? Maybe when Bitcoin bottoms out, this thing could go up. But this thing could also go down for a lot of time, right? It could go like this before it go. Oops, that was a little too gnarly. I'm using my mouse pad instead of my mouse, right? It could take some time before this thing turns around. So that's kind of my view on Looney. Definitely not the first altcoin that I'd buy. You know, I just honestly right now I'm thinking risk off because of Bitcoin pulling back to 50K. I'm thinking risk off. I'm shorting bounces, right? I'm shorting any bounce on any altcoin that happens because I'm thinking risk off right now, not risk on. If Bitcoin pulls back to 50K, which the chart is set up really good right now for it to pull back to 50K, you can't be thinking in terms of risk on, right? You need to be thinking of downsizing your portfolio, having cash, shorting tops, shorting bounces, because right now is a risk off scenario. You know, when the bull market's like this, when there's green candles and everything is bullish and things are going up, then you want to think risk on, right? And then you can buy coins like Looney, you can go buy low caps, you can go buy whatever coin you want to buy. You know, whatever coin you want to buy, go buy it. Because to be honest with you, in a risk-on scenario, that thing's probably going to skyrocket. But during a risk-off type of market, all your patterns are going to fail. All your setups are going to fail. All your market cycles that you think are done crashing will keep crashing. That's what happens in a risk-off scenario. So when the market looks risk-off, don't take risk. Do risk management and have cash ready to buy the dip after a correction. And Bitcoin is the one you want to watch, because Bitcoin is going to have the greatest influence on coins like Looney, right? You know, then you've got Andrew Tate coin or whatever, Daddy Tate here. People are bullish on this thing right now, and they think it's going to moon, but really it looks exactly like Mother Iggy before Mother Iggy failed support. So we have wave A, wave B. This is a bull trap up here. So don't be shocked if Daddy, the ticker is Daddy, right? Don't be shocked if Daddy Tate or whatever pulls back down here to like 7 cents and loses like 66% or more of its value, 70% of its value. This is a bull trap. Look how high this thing went, you know? That went really high in value. It's not just going to keep going up in value here. What you think about Dogecoin, has it bottomed? Okay, my honest opinion about Dogecoin is no, it has not bottomed out yet. Again, Bitcoin is in a risk-off scenario. Again, it looks a lot like gold here. Gold on the bottom. Gold did this huge rounded bottom here. Then gold broke its all-time high and then did an ABC correction. Bitcoin trades exactly like gold. It's called digital gold. It trades exactly like gold. The only difference is it moves faster than gold does. But it trades the same patterns as gold. And Bitcoin could pull back to 50K here. It looks like it's going to pull back to 50K. So don't be surprised if Dogecoin pulls back too. Everything follows Bitcoin. It's really pretty simple to understand. Everything follows Bitcoin. And Dogecoin did 5 waves up. We have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5 on Dogecoin, and wave A, wave B, and wave C. Right? Wave C could take us down to 8 cents again with Dogecoin. So, yeah, I am bullish in the big picture. I do think it will bottom out right here and make kind of a big inverse head and shoulders pattern. Left shoulder right here, head being right here, and right shoulder being right here. Just like how it will happen on Bitcoin too. Left shoulder up here, head being at 50K, right shoulder being, 60K before it goes really high again. That's what gold did. Gold did a nice inverse head and shoulders here. And I think Dogecoin will do the same thing. It will have the left shoulder right here at 12 cents, the head at around 8 cents, the right shoulder back around 12 to 13 cents, then it will moon again. So that's what I think Dogecoin will do. Is Tau doing ABC waves? So let's look at Tau. I don't know if that's a DEX screener coin. No, that's not. So, okay, let's see if we can find one that has more data. Yeah, Tau is doing ABC waves. I'm glad you brought this coin up. I haven't seen this one yet. So it could bounce just like ArcBlock. ArcBlock did a nice little bounce. I won't show it to you because you just go back and watch the start of the stream if you just tuned in. ArcBlock did the same pattern. I was bearish on ArcBlock, basically the exact top, and then it came back down, and I said, hey, ArcBlock could bounce right here, be aware of that. So Tau here could bounce a little bit here, but don't be surprised if it does this afterwards, okay? Don't be surprised if it pulls back, because there's wave 1 right here, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and an extended 5th wave. So don't be shocked if this thing pulls back down to like $117. It could bounce in the short term here. That wouldn't surprise me. It could also go down to like $203 before it bounces, right? But I definitely think it will probably go down to like $100, $113, maybe even $120 before it bottoms out again in the bigger picture and can go up again, right? It's going to follow Bitcoin. It's going to do the same structure as Bitcoin. It's just going to be more volatile and more important that you don't hold through it, because Bitcoin will probably only drop 30%, where this coin could drop like, after the bounce, it could drop like 70% or 80%, right? It's more volatile than Bitcoin. So, yeah. What's up, Conscious Contact? Good to see you, Rashim. Appreciate you tuning into the stream today, man. Do you think Bitcoin will go up a little bit from where it's at right now, or do you think it's better to sell now today into a stable coin and wait for its support? It could bounce a little bit, but I don't think it will, right? I don't think Bitcoin is going to bounce. I think Bitcoin is going to keep following this gold fractal here. Gold on the bottom, Bitcoin on the top, and I think it's going to pull back. You know, I wouldn't count on a bounce. It could have a little bounce, but it's pretty weak right now. You know, there's a rising wedge on the smaller time frame. If you just tuned in late, rewatch this stream a little bit later and you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. There's a rising wedge pattern, and I've got a lot of stuff drawn on here because we were looking at different things in bigger time frames. So don't mind all these squiggles. But right here we have a rising wedge pattern on Bitcoin, and we broke bearish. Oops, there we go. We broke bearish out of this rising wedge. So I think we're going to pull back here on Bitcoin and keep going lower, even on the smaller time frames. This is the bounce, right? The bounce that we had over the past couple days, that is the bounce. Or really, it happened yesterday. Yesterday evening, we bounced a little bit. That is the bounce, right? I think it's going to pull back and go lower again. You know, we had a bear flag right here, and we broke bearish out of that bear flag, and now we're doing a rising wedge. These are downside continuation patterns. So I think it's going to drop lower. You know, this is the bounce. So, yeah. So yeah, that's my views on Bitcoin, my views on some other coins as well. Thank you guys for tuning into today's live stream. Yes, Bitcoin looks like gold, you guys. Bitcoin looks like gold. I think Bitcoin's going to pull back to 50K, do a big inverse head and shoulders patterns, just like what gold did when gold broke out up above its all-time high. Broke up above its all-time high. Right here on gold, here on Bitcoin. And then gold did an inverse head and shoulders, shook a lot of people out, right? A lot of chopping around for people. They were too bullish up here. And then it mooned. Then gold mooned after that, right? Gold started mooning. And I think Bitcoin will do the same thing. I think it'll pull back to 50K, make a head, go back up, make a right shoulder, and then moon. Now, obviously, we don't know about the inverse head and shoulders pattern yet, but gold did do the same thing, so I think it'll have a similar structure. Until we see the pattern, you don't want to say, okay, let's play that pattern, but it is common for that pattern to appear. It's a geometrical pattern, and it's very common inside of these markets to see that pattern, to see that geometry take place. Especially after an ABC correction, which Bitcoin is starting to do. I almost swore right there. I was talking too quickly. So yeah, Bitcoin I think will pull back down to 50K per coin and then potentially go up quite a bit in value. And yeah, that's my view on the crypto market. Stay safe out there and stay profitable. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And yeah, stay profitable out there, everybody. Have a great weekend.